We call you today because of what's happening in the country on the invasion and destruction of property. I think we have witnessed in the news channels about people invading private property, and we thought as a professional association it's time to issue a statement on the matter. So I'll go to the statement that we have prepared as a council on the matter. Our attention is drawn to the continuing invasion of private property taking place in different parts of the country. We note with concern that these criminal acts seem to be on the rise, and little or no action is taken by the authorities to bring these incidences to a stop. The Institution of Surveyors of Kenya strongly condemns these actions and calls all citizens and leaders to exercise utmost respect for property rights, which is not only protected under the Constitution, but as provided by the law. Land is an emotive issue in this country and has been the source of many conflicts, resulting in death and destruction of property. The Article 40 of the Constitution provides that every Kenyan has a right, either individually or in association with others, to acquire and own property of any description in any part of the country. Through this clause, land ownership is protected, and that is why we must observe. Land is a critical factor of production and is the base of many investment ventures in the country, i.e., real estate development, agricultural production, industry, mining, and many others. So without land, secure land tenure, you cannot have development. Tied to that, land is not only a resource, but you would require other production inputs such as capital, management, and of course, an enabling legal framework and a functional economy to realize the benefits of such land. Land that is legally acquired is protected in law, and if any land has been determined to be illegally acquired, it can be reverted to the government and the public through the laid down procedures in law. Thus, invading someone's property is a violation of these property rights, and a criminal act should not go unpunished. All property that has been legally acquired and there is proof of ownership must be protected, and if there are any issues relating to that, must be addressed in the avenues provided under the law. Secure property rights gives confidence to individuals and businesses to invest in land, and thus allowing creation of jobs. Companies, individuals use this land to secure collateral, and if we have a challenge on the security of tenure, job creation becomes a challenge. When you have a challenge with job creation, also taxes in the economy go down because of the production capacity in the economy goes down. County governments will also suffer because they collect property taxes. I'll talk about peaceful coexistence of Kenyans as regards to land. Kenya's history with regard to the land question is characterized by indication of breakdown in land administration, disparities in land ownership, tenure insecurity, and conflict. This history stretches back to 1895 to date, and we still see land-related conflicts. It is against this backdrop that after the 2007 elections, land reform was identified as an essential component of the Kenya National Dialogue and Reconciliation process. A number of issues and measures were undertaken to address this issue. A number of measures were undertaken, one being the establishment of the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, TJRC, which among other things investigated the historical land injustice. In its conclusion, they provided a comprehensive chapter on land and conflicts. We think this is the right time to revisit that commission report and address the matters that are raised. The adoption of the National Land Policy of Sectional Paper number 3 of 2009, which guided land reform for the 10 years that it was alive, if I may call it that way. The policy has since lapsed and needs to be revised. We acknowledge the government, through the Ministry of Lands, has initiated the revision of the policy. But however, the process has been slow and is not inclusive as the initial policy that was formulated in 2008-9. The promulgation of the Constitution in 2010 conceptualized our approach to land use and management on the basis of equity, efficiency, productivity, and sustainability. Further, the establishment of the National Land Commission as a manager of public land, articulator of the National Land Policy, and investigator of the historical land injustice, among other responsibilities that are given under the NLC Act. There was also the review and harmonization of the land laws governing land administration, which has provided the basis of the reform that we see in the last 10 years. So through this, we can see there is evidence that we have robust mechanisms and institutions that can resolve any disputes arising out of land and property. So we really do not understand why Kenyans are invading other people's properties when there have been significant reform through legislation. In our conclusion, the institution demands that politicians stop using land as a weapon to do politics. Land is politically sensitive, and a mix of issues relating to access to land and politics is a dangerous mix. We also demand the protection of all property as enshrined under the Constitution, as provided under the Constitution, regardless of who the owner is of that property. We also appeal to the leaders to begin and start a conversation on the issues being raised about land in this country and find an amicable way to resolving these issues, devoid of destruction and loss of lives. We also appeal to security agencies to expeditiously investigate the invasions of property with a view of preferring charges for individuals found culpable. We also appeal to Parliament to revisit the issue of the minimum and maximum legislation as provided in the Constitution to provide a mechanism in which Kenyans can access and use land. Finally, we appeal to all Kenyans to respect and uphold rights to property of all descriptions. Thank you very much. That is our statement this morning.